Hey, welcome to this important session of the film room where we are looking at end of game situations to prepare you to make great decisions down the stretch to win basketball games. And the 5 scenarios we're going to focus on are baseline out of bounds, sideline out of bounds, when you have the ball in the half court with the last possession of the game, full court and time specific, and then lastly, getting the ball inbounds when you're ahead late in the game. So if you're here for something specific, check out the description because I've tagged all of the different segments. So let's jump right into baseline out of bounds when you need a 2-point field goal late in the game. So for this first action, I like to have a 1-4 set with both bigs in the middle and pop the one in front of the ball back out to the elbow. As that happens, have your best shooter in this corner and clear the other big to the opposite corner. That's going to open up this space right here for the guard who threw it in to backdoor his man, and you can score it in about 2 seconds. In this box set, you'll have a typical screen the screener action to start, where the opposite man's going to set this back screen, and then your man in front of the ball is going to shape up to screen for the screener. The guy who receives the first screen is going to shape up and set a screen to send him to the corner, and that should influence his defender to help a little bit. And at the same time, you're finishing the screener on the strong side, which should influence this defender out, and that's going to leave this man open for a slip to the basket. This is a great play to run if you have less than 2 seconds. Another option that's set up the exact same is you go into this screen the screener look, have this guy get to the dead corner, and the man who receive the first screen get out of the paint, and then you're going to set this cross screen with the 5-man. It's crucial to make sure that this defender goes over the top of the screen, because now the help defender has to guard his man on the slip and the curl, and if you make the right read, you should get an open look. Another option to run against a team who's not switching is to line up in a 1-4 set opposite the basketball, and you're gonna have the top and bottom man clear out to the strong side corner. Then have the player you want to score start right here, take a step towards the middle and curl hard off of the second player, and you should have a quick look at a layup. Now keep in mind, these work against teams who aren't switching, but a lot of teams will switch everything late game to not give up any easy shots. So if a team is switching and there is a man standing on the ball and not under the rim, here's a great action. You can start by setting this cross screen right here as a decoy, but the real action is down here at the bottom. You set this screen to pull this man up, and that's going to force the switch, and as soon as that switch happens, you want to slip to the basket before he can get back in front, and that's going to be your opportunity to get a quick layup. So now we'll take a look at blobs when you need a 3. This is commonly referred to as an elevator action. So have your shooter set a cross screen for this man who's going to go and receive the inbound, and then your shooter is going to run in between the 2 bigs at the elbows who are going to act as elevator doors, and as soon as he crosses their face, they're going to close to leave room for the shooter. Another option out of this box setup is to curl this guard to the strong side corner, and then you're going to inbound the ball to this man as he pops back to the logo. On the catch, your shooter, who's the inbounder, is going to come off of a double stagger from both of your bigs, and then the man with the ball is just going to pitch it to him, and that's your shot. A similar setup is line up 1-4, have your 5-man pop back to catch it at the elbow, and then your shooter is going to set a screen for the inbounder to come off into a dribble handoff with the 5. After that happens, your corner man is going to go and set an in screen, and the shooter is going to come off to the corner off of a misdirection for a catch and shoot 3. Another option that's a bit more involved is to line up in this box set right here with your shooter underneath the rim. He's going to start by setting this back screen, and then they're going to set a stagger away for this guy to be a decoy and curl to the rim. That's going to force the man to chase and the help defender to worry about the curl, and then the shooter's going to come off to the corner. Now the concern is always whether teams are going to switch or they're going to stay matched up. The reason why most teams switch 1 through 5 late in games is because they don't want to give up any clean looks, and if you're not prepared for that, you could get caught in a situation where you can't even get the ball in bounds because nobody's open. So the way that you combat team switching is you need to screen your own player. So in this screen the screener action, what you'll notice is that the man in the corner is going to screen his own man because the defense assumes a switch is happening, and that's how you get guys open. So for this last baseline out of bounds play, pay attention to the decision making of the screener. As the ball gets thrown in, this player is going to come off of a double stagger, and the second screener needs to know that if they're not switching, he has to screen the shooter's man, but if they are switching, he needs to screen his own man like you saw in the last play. Now we'll transition to sideline out of bounds, and we'll start with a very popular late game situation. When it's low clock and you need a 3, you can start in a box and set this back screen for one of your bigs, and he's going to release to the opposite corner, and you just need to throw the ball anywhere into space so that he can catch it. But while that's happening, you want for your shooter in front of the ball to act like he's trying to get open for a catch. Because on the flight of the ball, you're going to come and set this crack back or back screen for the shooter to follow the ball. You touch pass it to him, and there's your shot. Now in this next scenario where you need a 3, you're going to run a concept that's referred to as Ram Ghost. So it starts with a down screen, and then the man in the corner is going to ghost screen for the ball handler. This is going to create confusion between these 3 defenders of who's supposed to guard who, and then you just need to make the right decision of who gets the shot. But if you don't need a 3 but it's too low clock to run a full play, here's a great option. Put your best player in the strong side corner, and on the inbound, throw it in, and then go into a dribble handoff with the inbounder and have your best player flash to the top of the key. As that's happening, you're going to fake a stagger screen over here as a decoy and slide your inbounder to the corner, and that's going to create a double gap for your best player to go one-on-one to his dominant hand to win the game. So as we transition to this next segment of having the ball in the half court with the last possession, let's stay with that same theme. BYU is going to run the same ram action that we just saw a few clips ago. So if you remember, it's a down screen into a ball screen or a ghost. And the purpose of this action is to get a right-hand drive from your best player. So BYU is going to roll replace to occupy this side and create this big double gap for their best player to get to his dominant hand, and he ends up getting to the free throw line. And this has been a consistent theme at the college and pro level for years. When coaches have a chance to win a game, they want the ball in their best player's hands. They will typically run some type of a ghost screen to create confusion, but they don't want any passes. They don't want any broken plays. They want their best player to have the chance to win the game. But the most important thing to understand in these situations is time and score. You will notice in this game there is a 2-second difference between the shot clock and the game clock, and the game is tied. So the most important thing in this possession is that Montana State takes the last shot and they don't give Southern Utah an opportunity to score. So just like we've talked about, they run a horns clear action where they're going to run this guard over the top to create this double gap for a right-hand drive with their best player, but they leave too early, they miss the shot, and now there is 4.5 seconds left, which means they have left too much time. There's nothing wrong with missing the shot and going into overtime, but you don't want to lose in regulation because you left the opponent too much time. So use your best judgment to run the play that you think will work the best, but make sure you get the last shot. That's the most important thing. So now we'll transition to full court late game situations, and we'll do it based on the time that's left in the game. And something you can learn from some great coaches is when you are down by more than 2 points and you have a full clock, put pressure on the rim. So many teams are quick to come down and try and shoot a 3 to tie it up or to get it within 1, but putting pressure on the rim is so smart, and here is why. That possession took 6 seconds for Duke to score, and now it's a 2-point game with 16 seconds left. It allows you to extend the game and put pressure back on the other team. And the other reason is this: when you're flying the ball up the court, it's very difficult for the on-ball defender to stay in front without fouling. And typically the off-ball defenders are so worried about their man hitting a 3 that they're not going to help. But if you fly it up and shoot a quick 3 and miss, and the other team rebounds it, you're basically done. But in this situation, you can score a quick 2, extend the game, and you might even get an and 1, and now you're in a great position. The other thing you have to think about is if you're down by 3 or more, the other team is trying to take away any 3-point looks by running you off the line and switching everything. And this possession by Creighton is a great example. They switch 1 through 5 and guard the 3-point line so Alabama has no clean looks at a 3. So Alabama reluctantly drives in and takes a layup, but instead of burning the extra 2 or 3 seconds, attack right away and extend the game. But if you do want to take an early 3 and teams are switching, here's a great way to get a clean look. Have your shooter trail the play and have the ball handler attack his man, and once he gets as far down as he can, he's just going to turn, pitch the ball behind him, and basically shield off both defenders, and that's how you can get a clean look. But here's a key component to live by. Every action takes about a second to do. So whether it's a pass, a dribble, or a shot, you need to factor in a second to do each one of those. So when Duke has 3.7 seconds left in this game, the ball handler catches it, he takes one dribble, a second dribble, a third dribble, and then he goes into his shot, and it takes about 4 seconds to do all of those. So in every late game situation, you have to factor this in. Here with 2.6 seconds, Alabama is able to get 1, 2, and a shot, and there's barely enough time for them to get it off. So you need to rehearse these things in practice so you know how long every play takes. Because with 4.3 seconds, Duke tries to take 3 dribbles, pass the ball, and shoot it, which is 5 actions in 4.2 seconds, and they don't get it off in time. So something to always have in your back pocket is if the opponent doesn't guard the inbounder, knowing how much time is left, you can throw it in and get it right back to him and have him push it the full length of the court. So with 5.6 seconds, there's a dribble and a pass, and he goes 2 dribbles coast to coast and gets it off in time. But if there's 4 seconds or less, the common play that most people run is to set a double stagger away for your shooter, and then you're going to run the baseline, throw it to him, and he's going to have anywhere from 2 to 3 dribbles before he's got to get a shot up. Now there is a variation to this play where instead of the shooter coming off of a stagger, he's going to come off the first screen, you throw it to him early, and then he's going to receive a ball screen from the second man, but he still gets 2 dribbles and he's got to get a shot up. Now this play run by Michigan State will work with 4 seconds, but you have to be able to run the baseline. So have the inbounder run this direction and then have this man run out of bounds, and you're going to throw it back to him, which is legal. Once the pass is thrown, have this man come and set a back screen, and you're basically going to run a football route and throw it back to him. Now the person running the clock actually screws up because they started it early and there should be 7.6 seconds left on this catch. So when you catch it, you want to have your last 2 players stacked on this side of the court to keep the defense away from the inbound pass, and if you need a shot, you can get it right here in about 2 seconds, or if you only need a 1 or a 2, you can drive, and that total play took about 4 seconds. But if you have 3 seconds or less, you probably need to run the famous Valpo play, where you're going to throw a Hail Mary to the middle of the court and have your most athletic guy go up and catch it, and then your 2 shooters can either cross each other or they can run straight to the 3-point line on the same side, catch it, touch pass it, you might have time for a dribble, and you got to get it up. It's important to practice this regularly because your pass, catch, and the timing and spacing of those shooters cutting is crucial, and if there's any deviation, you probably won't get a good look. But the hope is at the end of the game you're ahead and you just need to get the ball in and secure it. So one of the more nuanced ways to do this is to line everybody up out of bounds like wide receivers in a football game. You're going to put 3 decoys on this bottom side, and you're going to have them run whatever patterns that you want, but you want them to get out of the way. Have the guy you want to inbound the ball to start on the ball side, sprint to the free throw line, and come back like a hitch route. Throw it to him, and there's no way the defense is going to be able to guard him without fouling, and you'll be able to get it in. The other thing you can do if it's really low clock is have your smallest guy on the court here and your biggest guy right here, and make sure the inbounder backs up as far as he can so that he can throw it deep. As the ball is being inbounded, have the smallest guy sprint to the baseline off those 2 players in hopes of getting a switch. The second man is going to set a screen and flash back to the ball, and this guy on the top side is acting like he's free releasing and then coming back. Then have your big take off and just throw a ball as high as you can up to him, and it turns into a jump ball. All you need to do because it's low clock is get your hands on it, it starts the clock, and the game is over. So many games come down to 1 or 2 possessions, so you will find yourself in these situations regularly. I hope this video helps, and I hope you win a lot of games because of it. Thanks for coming through. We'll see you next time in the film room.